Good evening, everybody. President Obama's efforts to contend with the border crisis of his own making has run into stiff resistance from both House Republicans and Senate Democrats. And a new report based on the government's statistics proves that an overwhelming majority of the illegal immigrant children crossing our border will not be sent back to the country of their origin. We begin tonight with both houses of Congress, Republicans and Democrats, rejecting the president's proposal to ease the humanitarian crisis at our southern border. Republicans in the House simply unwilling to give this president billions more in taxpayer dollars to fix a problem that he created.
The president assured the American people the border was secure, but clearly it is not. Chairman Rogers and the members of our working group, led by Kay Granger, are reviewing the administration's request. I can tell you this, though. We're not giving the president a blank check.
And as the president strikes out with that supplemental legislation in the House, Senate Democratic leadership telling the president no on rewriting deportation policy as well. Longtime Obama ally Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois rejected the president's call to rewrite a 2008 law on child trafficking. Changing the law would allow deportations of those children to occur faster. Durbin told Obama, quote, "I want U.S. officials to ensure there are social infrastructures that can take care of them in their home countries first." Senator Durbin obviously wanting to run their countries as well as his own. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Pat Leahy put it more bluntly. Leahy saying of changing that law, quote, "I can't think of any reason that it should. If we follow the current law," he said, "they'll get due process." To make matters worse for the president, the Wall Street Journal using government statistics to conclude that over the past 5 years, an average of only 7% of the unoccupied minors who have been apprehended have been deported. But to hear Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson spin it, you would think the Obama administration already had the problem well in hand.
We are rapidly building additional detention capability for family units, for adults who are bringing their children into the Rio Grande Valley sector illegally, with the goal of turning people around as quickly as possible. And from this facility, we intend to begin that process of repatriating people, sending them back to their home countries beginning next week.
Tonight, we'll be talking with former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Also tonight, Lebanon joining the assault on Israel. Rockets fired from suspected Hezbollah strongholds hitting northern Israel today as the Israeli Air Force intensifies its bombing campaign against Hamas targets in Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu making it clear that he will do whatever is required to eliminate terrorist threats to Israel. Netanyahu said, quote, "I talked to Obama and to the leaders of Canada and the UK. I told them no other country will accept this situation. I will not let the Israeli citizens live like this. No international pressure will stop us from acting against terrorists that want to kill us." Former Assistant Defense Secretary Paul Wolfowitz joins us tonight. Also, legendary New York City homicide detective Bo Dietl joins us for a look at why 82 shootings in one weekend is now the norm in the city of Chicago. Our first guest tonight says as Americans, we can be sympathetic with the plight of 90,000 unaccompanied illegal children who've entered the United States or will enter it by September. But he says we should not be tolerant of an insecure border. I'm joined now by former Arkansas Governor, host of Huckabee on the Fox News channel, Mike Huckabee. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Lou. Great to be here.
90,000 children is the update now from Secretary Johnson. He says that beginning next week, the deportations will be initiated, and he sounds for all the world like that will be the end of the problem. Do you buy any of it?
And if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. And if you like your health insurance, you can keep that too. How many things do we have to be told by this administration that logistically don't even work out? And here's the crazy thing. Tens of thousands of people coming. We don't even have a way to deport them. Although I thought it was amazing, former Oklahoma Congressman Ernest Istook did a little survey, found that if you bought airline tickets on Priceline, you could send everybody back for $29.5 million, which is 99.5% less than it's going to cost Obama's $3.8 million program to try to see what we can do to keep them indefinitely. We are a good country, Lou. We take care of people on our doorstep who are hungry and sick. That's who we are. We're Americans. But we aren't chumps. And what we have done is open our border and acted like that while I have to go through the paperwork to get into any country on earth, that anybody, not just these kids, but any terrorist can come and never even so much as show a passport.
Governor, is there any reason that we should just not simply label what is going on in this administration? It is an outright disinformation campaign against the American people. It is not only open, it is not only not transparent, as the president promised. It rises to a different level. This is propaganda. This is disinformation. And this president is doing exactly the opposite of what he and representatives of his administration, like Secretary Johnson, are saying they will do.
Why doesn't the president call the presidents of Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico and say, every one of the people from your countries who come here, we're going to keep an accounting of what it's costing us to take care of these essential needs before we can send them back home, which is we're going to do. And every dime of that, plus interest, we're going to take from what we would have provided you in some form of aid. Why aren't we doing that, Lou? That's the first step. And the second step is, let's just get real, create a secure border. I know people say, well, it's impossible. There's nothing impossible. The impossible is to believe that we're safe in this country. Reality, 90,000 kids crossing the border doesn't scare me, but here's the question we better be asking. If kids can get across the border that easily, 8- and 9-year-old kids, what do you think a terrorist can do? You think a terrorist is going to come through JFK Airport and file the papers? No, he's going to just go to the southern border and walk right across when he can.
And your reaction, as we wrap up here, to the editorial, the op-ed piece today by Bill Gates, by Warren Buffett, talking about, and Sheldon Adelson, telling the American people, basically, you don't understand. We know what's best, and you should be doing what the Gang of Eight did in the United States Senate, and the Republican Party should set aside their values, their beliefs, their principles, and do exactly what this president says do.
Largely, their article focused on people who have come here for study. They've gained an advanced degree, and if they want to stay and invest their talents. And you know what? I got no problem with us figuring out a way to capture the best and the brightest around the world. But, Lou, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of drug dealers, terrorists, people who can come across this border with a rocket-propelled launcher on their shoulder. That's what we have to be worried about, and nobody ought to be talking about the reform until you secure and seal the border.
And did you notice, Governor, one omission in that op-ed? They didn't mention a single item that would be of a direct benefit to working men and women in our middle class, not once in that entire op-ed. Extraordinary.
A lot of Americans could use jobs right now, and they don't need to be competing with folks that didn't bring their paperwork with them. It is a crisis, but it is not so much the humanitarian crisis, except that of our own making. It is a man-made disaster because we didn't take care of our constitutional responsibility to protect our borders.
Governor Mike Huckabee, thanks for being with us.
You bet, Lou.
And be sure to tune in to Huckabee on the Fox News Channel, Saturday and Sunday nights, 8 p.m.